Okay, buckle up. Eh, when I see the riots and stuff like that, I'm always like, Indians being Indians. But it didn't click in my mind mentally what I'm looking at until I seen the cop dressed in all black, almost like blackface. And that's what I remembered the Boston Tea Party. Because I was going off on this a while back, earlier this year, with the whole, was it James Smith and the Black Boys? Where you're in New York and in Pennsylvania, Englishmen, which, excuse me, I gotta be clear. English and British are two different things. Now, if you want to learn more about it, look into it. If you need directions on how to find it, write me. But the English and British are two different things. The English, right, this is why they're even now going back, the History Channel and others are going back and they're saying, oh, Paul Revere never wrote through and said the British are coming, the British are coming, because the English that he was waking up would have been British, right? So he would have been saying, you're coming against yourself, you're coming against yourself. They were like, it doesn't make any sense. So now they're saying he didn't say that, he said something else. But no, they knew exactly what they were calling out. They know exactly who the British were. Get that book, The Negro Question. Get all 6 of them. The other books he writes as well. You're going to be shocked. I mean, I was finding bits and pieces, but I was finding them in ways that couldn't be, substantiated, where you're like, okay, that's solid evidence. This is more of hunches and hearsay. These books answer all of that. And then all the information is coming from the University of Chicago. So here we have this, right? Oh yeah, that's what it was. James Smith and the Black Boys with these English that were tired of the Indians raiding on them. They were tired of the British giving the Indians guns so they could pull off these raids. So they painted themselves black. They painted themselves blackface, put on Indian garments, raided their own people until the rest of the English were fed up with it and wanted to go against the Indians. Agent provocateurs. We've seen this. It's going on right in your life today. Ferguson, Baltimore. I forget the other place. And now Minnesota. Americans all know the story of the Boston Tea Party on December 12th, 1773. A mob of patriots known as the Sons of Liberty. Now, you got to understand this too. People confuse liberty and freedom as the same thing. They're not. Liberty can only be obtained by being on the sea, being on water. It is the code between pirates. It's the laws of the woman. It is the laws that only come from the sea. And when I say woman, I'm not talking about, I'll get into that later. But liberty and freedom are two different things. This is why the Statue of Liberty has to stand in water. Okay? Disguised in charcoal, black-faced, and Indian dress, boarded a fleet of ships in Boston Harbor and destroyed a shipment of English tea. Oh, why are you doing this? Fighting against police brutality and destroying your own community makes what sense? Why were these men painting themselves charcoal jet black, putting on Indian clothes? I mean, what were these English? Fucking confused? Huh? If you go by today's rules, you would say these men were fucking confused. Painting yourself jet black, why didn't they cover themselves in red paint? Putting on Indian garments, what are they saying? A confused, sick, what? You think about it. Why would an Indian, today's Native American, be confused with being charcoal black? They were trying to pin it on specific Indians is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? I'm not here saying the Native Americans aren't American Indians. I'm saying that they were specifically going after a specific branch of the Indians that were here. I told you before, read the Webster's 1828 definition of American. The coppered colored races, meaning more than one ethnic group of copper colored people were found here by Europeans. And now the European calls themselves the American, when the only ones that could ever call themselves American are the copper colored races. The woman that owns Ron Smoke Shop in Valdelia, red as the chick from was it Peter Pan? I've never seen someone red like that in my life. I thought that was only in a movie. I've seen that. Copper colored. My skin color. Put it up against a horse. A red horse, a brown horse. Blends right in. I've done it. It was a test I was supposed to take. Because we're taught to call ourselves black when we don't even look black. In the animal kingdom, a red horse and a brown horse, what's the difference? They're both copper colored. So here it is again. Dudes dressing up in blackface, putting on Indian dresses and garments, destroying property. So then the Indian's the only one blamed, if no one knows any better. The Black Boys, also known as the Brave Fellas and the Loyal Volunteers, were members of a white settlement movement in Conococheague Valley in Colonies, Pennsylvania. Sometimes known as the Black Boys Rebellion. People that call themselves white today, painting themselves up as black, dressing up as Indians to go on raids, so that black people get blamed. The people that call themselves black today that get raided, that apparently were supposedly black but dressed like Indians. I mean, now do you see why I don't do this whole I'm an African thing? When I looked into my genealogy, and I've already posted it several times, my fourth great grandfather, when he was born, he was not listed as white, he was not listed as Negro, he was listed as Indian. Choctaw, Mississippi Indian. By the time he was 20, they changed him to mulatto. By the time he was 40, they changed him to Negro. And when he died a black man. Now, how did his complexion change from the time he was born a Choctaw and nothing else to when he died as a black man? Walter Plecker and people like him going in and changing the census records to fit their narrative, putting you under a caste system. Somebody has to be at the top, somebody has to be at the bottom. Here it is again. The Black Boys, so-called because they sometimes, so-called, it says so-called? Why else would they be called the Black Boys if this is what they're doing? Sometimes blacken their faces during their actions. We're upset with British policy regarding American Indians following the Pontiac Wars. So you really want to help out my people? Research, study, learn law, and go back to these old history books. Go back to history books. If you can get your hands on them, go back to your colleges. Get these books that are about the history, about the land that you're living in. Go back and get them during the 1600s and the 1700s. Because around the 1800s, that's when the full takeover went and the caste system really kicked in. That somebody had to be white, somebody had to be black. No more you are what your fathers were. No more you are a native people, you are an indigenous people. It's all, you're either a white person or you're a black person. Did you know that somebody that looked like me, that somebody that looked like Michael Jordan, There was a man that came over from Egypt, and he listed on his documents and everything like that. He was an Egyptian, where he was born. You know, when they got to America, they said no. They stamped him as white. He looked like Michael freaking Jordan, and they stamped him as white. Why? Because of where he's from. Because if you check white on any public documents, you're saying you're from Europe, you're from Middle East, and you're from North Africa. And Egypt lies in North Africa. If you say that you're black, you're not from anywhere. It literally says, when you check the box black, on any census or any documents, you're saying you're from a black racial group. And it doesn't give you any continent to claim. So literally, black people in America, whenever someone says they're black or checks black, they're literally saying, I'm just of a racial group. I have no homeland. I have no land to go to. I don't exist. I have no nationality that you can send me to in times of trouble.